Thank you for staying with us. It's this 63rd independence anniversary of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I also have across Zoom with me a political historian, a researcher, and I know him as a politician. Honorable Muyiwa Jimoh, thank you for staying with us.
Good afternoon.
A lot of people will tell us that, look, our first experiment at the parliamentary system of government, and after we left that, we now went to copy and paste the American system of presidential system of government. And people are questioning this particular system of government that, look, it might not be suitable. Since 1960 till now, do you think this present system of government, this arrangement is better than what we had in the First Republic?
Well, fundamentally, let me make a remark to the submission of Mr. Bola Tinubu and that he got it right in their presentation earlier that we have had a better time and prosperity too. But despite that, there is still need for improvement. However, it seems to me that paradigm of development, as the word has to be, has been predetermined. As far back as 1930, the great British economist Thomas Keynes was predicting what
now, how has democratic rule impacted the growth in the country? If we say Honorable Muyiwa Jimoh is saying that we've not done well, with what we are doing presently, and we seem to say since 1999 we've had uninterrupted civilian to civilian administration, and we changed powers successfully, and we seem to be celebrating that. So this democratic rule, how is it impacted on the growth of the country?
No, the natural thing for any forward-looking individual is to always envision a future that is better than what we have today. But when you compare the progress that we've made under civilian rule, the way development has been taken to different parts of our country, there's no doubt that we've seen a lot of progress. Let's even look at before 1999. Let's just looking at the hospitality sector, for example. How many big hotels were there in Lagos? I know that in this area, when you are talking about an hotel of value, people will talk about either Excellence Hotel or Airport Hotel.
We didn't have this hotel with international franchise.
Today, if you look at how many hotels Nigerians have built between 1999 and now, you can't compare to what we had in all the years of military rule. In fact, what we had within 10 years is tremendous when you look at, you put everything together. That's just one example. You look at schools that governments have built between that time and now. The number thoroughly outstrips what we had under military rule. You look at the kilometers of roads that have been built. Yes, there's a lot of stealing that politicians have caused to happen. But politicians at the level of the parliament where they are present, they know that their duty is to bring development to their respective constituencies. So, and they have largely been able to bring development to their constituencies. They may not have been able to spread it in a manner that pleases everyone. But I can tell you, in terms of the kilometers of new roads that have been built during that period, during the period between 1999 and now, so many roads have been built. So the development, the growth and development that we have experienced in our country cuts across every sphere of our lives. Whether it's education that we are talking about, because we'll still talk about education, I don't want to go into that, or whether it is even security, the way the military has been armed, the way they bought weapons for the military and all that. We interviewed the chief of air staff the other day, and he was talking about just one category of aircraft. 24 are coming. So the political class have done well in their own rights. It's not as if I'm convinced that they've scored high marks. I believe that they can do much better. But to not admit that so much progress has happened is to be dishonest. And that's why many people will tell you that the worst civilian regime is better than the best military regime. So in many ways, when you look around, you see that yes, progress has been made. And you can discountenance universities as know that this it does not represent progress. But any university town, you see that economic development takes place by the mere presence of a university in that community. And we've had a good number of them under civilian rule. So while we believe that they can do so much more, the fact stares us in the face that across all spheres of our national lives, civilian rule has delivered progress.
Wale, how can you rate the youths and the women participation in politics and governance since that time?
Okay, yeah, let me quickly also add to what Babajide has said. If you are not careful, you may fall into the illusion that military is better than democratic government. But if you look at the fundamentals, when you are talking about accountability, under the military, they are not accountable to anybody. Nobody was asking questions about how much money they got. You could not have a state governor that will challenge the military. So there was no accountability. Then there was no checks and balance. Here that you have the legislation, you have the that can, then there is no freedom of speech. Yes. Then there was no citizen participation.
Remember somebody who published something on the bad day of a governor?
Decree 4,
on the bad day of a governor, one of the South states, he said they should go and bring him. Yeah. And they shaved his head.
Oh, yeah.
It's a military regime. Yeah. Yes. That why should you publish that on my bad day? Yeah. You wanted to embarrass me. So some people are talking about military rule now. I just look at it.
There is nothing as important as citizen participation that you can take part in the affairs of your life. Ask yourself, how many TV stations do we have where the military were there? Probably about 3. Now you are talking about almost about 100 TV stations. Radio stations, at that time, maybe about 3. You are talking about now almost about 150 all over the country. So there is no basis for comparison unless people do have any deep sense of history. And I think we should not make that mistake. Well, on the empowerment of youth and women, I think we are making progress, though very slow. And just like what we are saying, under the military government, was any female ever appointed as military administrator? It never happened. It could not never have happened. But now, at least we have about the last National Assembly, we had about 7. Now I think we have about 3, out of about 109. And we are talking about 3.5%, which is still very low. And I believe we can do more. I believe the space is there more than before for women participation. The opportunity is there. The windows of opportunity are there for women. So it's just for us to encourage our women to be more active in participation and also to ensure that they take part in political activism. In terms of the youth, I think we are having a lot of changes. If you look at people that have been even appointed as either special advisors or, special assistants, in this current regime, there are a lot of younger people that are involved. And I think we once had the Speaker of the House of Rep, in 1999, who was just 28 years old, Buhari. So we are making progress, though we may be very slow, but I don't think we are moving backwards.
All right, Mr. Zaldin, we have witnessed the longest democratic rule for 24 straight years now. Now, hence, democracy has come to stay. How has this benefited this country? 24 straight years of a democracy.
24 straight years, I think, well, some people will say we have been stumbling and tumbling, but all the same, there are some challenges. Challenges of poverty, challenges of power, challenges of industrialization, challenges of even electoral malpractices, and also that big challenge of mutual suspicion. But despite all that, Nigeria is still surviving. I want to take us back to the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Boutros Ghali. When he finished his tenure at the United Nations, he was asked if he is to choose a country to go and retire, which country will he go to? And at that time, mind you, there were serious political crises in Nigeria. Boutros Ghali said, of course, Nigeria. And he told them that any country in the world that has been subjected to the stress and pressure Nigeria was being subjected to at that time would have vanished. No country could take 1/3 of what Nigeria has taken, and it is still surviving. So I believe all we need to do is there is need for improvement. There is need for improvement, and now President Bola Tinubu has a great role to play. Since coming into office, you cannot judge him. He's just about 5 months old in the office. But I think in the 5 months, one can say he has brought in a new strength in the Nigerian sinew, a new firmness in the Nigerian steps, a new steel in the Nigerian eye, and of course, a new focus in the Nigerian direction. And that is the sort of leadership we need to carry us to the next stage.
Honorable Muyajimo, 24 years of straight democracy. How has this benefited us since 1999 to this time?
Well, absolutely. As I've said earlier, that we have a better time too. We have a prosperity. None of this condition is absolute. That is the point. There was a time in history that the king of Saudi Arabia have his medical checkups in Nigeria, precisely University of Ibadan. Indeed, Professor Shikoku is his personal physician. And we do have students from other parts of Africa, the Maghreb Arabs, that is the Morocco, Mauritania, and the Maghrebian region. There are other universities, either University of Lagos, University of in the past. But all that are not practicable now. But it is correct, and it is true that we have a better time. 24 years of democracy is there's an improvement that Mr. Gide and Comrade Wale Adeoye have said. But minus, we should just reason it from this angle that minus that will take us to zero is still a good step. We can still do more. And I agree with the president when he delivers his independence speech. That we need to be patient. He emphasized that he acknowledged that there are issues that we need to work on, which to me is honest enough to tell Nigerians that we need to be focused. so that so that we can prepare our mind towards the challenges ahead. So 24 years of democracy, there are improvements, no doubt. Remember, before now, hitherto, freedom of speech is not the way we are experiencing. People can now protest on anything during those days of the military regime. You can't just even your parents will be warning you that don't go and join the protest. But protest is free now. You can just start protest against your governor anytime. You can just make demand, which it is not so during the military. Yes, the military has taken us backward, no doubt. But we must also emphasize the colonial state created a bifurcated society, that those who will be empowered and those who will be disempowered. So from the independence, the colonial deliberately did that, to bifurcate our society, and it's part of things we are still battling with in contemporary time.
Thank you, Honorable Muyajimo. Julie, this one now is we've had 7 cycles of general election. How impactful has this been to our democracy? We've had from 1999, had all sort of the last one, INEC. INEC has conducted 3 or 4 cycles of election by that name, and we've seen innovations. We've seen introduction of electronics, card reader. We've seen the beavers. We've seen so many things that the system is getting better and better and better. Yes. What happened in 2023, was it in any way kind of a setback?
It's not a setback. It's not a setback. It's not a setback. 2003 election. In those days, people were simply writing results. There was no means by which you could even verify if this thing, if the result attributed to your party was correct. They simply intimidate people and write results. Today, political parties have situation rooms. There was nothing like that before. This time around, we have the internet permits us to be able to monitor what's going on far away. We didn't have it in 2003. In 2003 and 2007, the elections were massively rigged. Nothing like card reader.
In most cases, the number of voters were more than the number of registered voters.
Yes, it happened in Ogun State. Yes. It happened in Ogun State. You know, people they were just writing results. You can't compare the Maurice Iwu era to what we now have. It's unfortunate that, look, the gains that have been made, we didn't have beavers. We didn't have card reader. And you can't tell me that electronic accreditation of results of voters has not helped us or has not improved electoral integrity. There's no way you can convince me. Because when we didn't have card reader or beavers, it was easy to simply write the results. It was easy. But today, you know that there are different layers that you must surmount. The agents are there. Beavers is there. I told you about a politician who told his people, you better work hard. Because this time around is different too. Because there is beavers. Look at the results that came from some of the states, especially states of the north. In this last election, it came down. The reason is beavers, nothing else.
Those bogus.
Where you used to have, I won't even say bogus, but we used to have very big.
Larger numbers.
Yes. Incredible figures. But this time around, because it is now outlawed to use incident form, the figures have gone down drastically. So in terms, we've been moving incrementally. If we watch from 79 to 83, and then from 99, we've been moving incrementally towards achieving our aim of electoral integrity. And innovations have been introduced. They can call INEC names, but we introduced card reader to make our elections better. Card reader played this part. There are many people today who will not be in the National Assembly if not because of beavers and card reader. If it was the era when they were simply writing results, who are they to even think of entering National Assembly? 12 APC governors, 12 of them could not deliver their states to the candidate, the presidential candidate of their party. Has it ever happened in our history? People ignore these things because they've chosen to not believe any other thing, except you say their candidate was the one who won the election. Any other thing you say they don't want to hear. But 12 APC governors failed to deliver their states to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Look at a state like Kaduna, for example. APC won only 2 local governments, Sanga and Briningwari. If they told you, even me, I will confess that if they told me before the election that will happen, I will have argued. Because I will have said, with the influence of this person, with the influence of that person. Just 2 local governments. Well, they were well beaten in the election. Even the governor could not deliver his local government. So, in 2003, could that have happened? No. That same year, his party had lost election. They say, no, it's embarrassing to say this person, as big as he is in government, he lost election. They changed the result for him. They changed the result for him just because he's big in government.
According to the courts, they were even writing results in the hotel rooms.
Yes.
At that time, somebody was
have you forgotten exam 40?
Yes.
When they were using palm kernel to thumb print. Yes. They were tired of using their hands. They now resorted to using. Who used palm kernel in this last election? Even the voters register had people like Mike Tyson and other people who were dead, Mandela, all of them. Our voter register is cleaned up. You can't find such names this time around. Yet people will say, oh, it's the worst election. How can it be worse?
Wally, finally on the segment, how has the rule of law enhanced freedom and human rights protection in this country?
Well, it's very easy to just say, oh, there's no rule of law in Nigeria. But if you go to the Minister of Justice and you compute the different cases that affects both the rich man, the ordinary man, you will discover that to a large extent, the judiciary has made a lot of impact in sustainable development in Nigeria. Don't forget that in this country, governors have been sentenced to jail, senators have been sentenced to jail, and former governors have been investigated. Rich men, there are rich men now who are in detention. Some of them have been convicted. So I think generally we can say that the judiciary can still do more, but I think that the judiciary remains one of the remarkable pillars of democracy in Nigeria. And we can also not doubt the fact that democracy has revolutionized a lot of sectors. Communication, for instance, look at the GSM.
Yes.
In the past, you have to trek maybe to NITEL to go and queue up to make
go to NITEL.
IT. A lot of people stay at home now just for IT. That's how they saw the social media advertising going on in Facebook.
Since independence, apart from farming, nothing has given Nigerians jobs more than the coming of GSM.
Yeah.
Technicians whose job just to repair, they are there. Those whose job is just to make you use their software, their phone lines, and then you pay, they are there. All kinds of
our children are into coding.
All kinds of jobs have come linked to the coming of GSM. And they are employing so many people. How many people MTN, for example, is employing?
Future.
So if it had not come, a lot of people today will have no jobs of their own.
Mr. Zaradin, so how will you conclude? We say so far, so good when you look back?
Well, I would say so far, so good, believe me, because 24 years, especially of an interrupted democracy, has brought a lot of goodies. Yes, there were a lot of traps or booby traps on the way, but Nigeria successfully scaled them and avoided them. So I believe the future, there is hope in the future of this country. And we need to do whatever we can to ensure that that future is ascertained. And Nigerians too need to come out and cooperate with the government to ensure that things are done in the way they should be done. We need to bury our differences. We need to move as a nation. We need to forget all these problems that have been bedeviling the country over the past 63 years. But on the whole, I must say that Nigeria will certainly survive, and we have done quite a lot in spite of all the challenges that we have enumerated in this program.
All right, Mr. Honorable Murajimo, from your own end, how would you summarize this?
Well, so far so good. We have had growth and little development. Because growth and development, they are not the same. Growth is in quantitative, while development is in qualitative. However, the speech of the statement credited to the Chief of Army Staff, that is to uphold the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a welcome development to the entire for the past 24 years. In the recent time, we have not had such statements from the military, from any other military officer in the country. I think it's a development to some extent. However, our federated units, about 394 to 412 ethnic groups have been identified in Nigeria. So we need to work more on our federated constituencies, because we have a country that we must define our federated units.
Thank you. Okay. Looking at this segment, Wale Adeye, I'd like to thank you for your contribution. Thank you. And I want to thank Mr. Nurudeen. I want to thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And Mr. Honorable Muyiwa Jimoh, thank you for your contribution.